What's up, people? It's Chris once again here to do some predictions for this weekend's HBO doubleheader card going down. Looking forward to the opener. I don't know about the main event. Depends on how it plays out, which of course you can never tell beforehand. But I do think that the opening bout between Tavoris Cloud and Youssef Mack is going to be a pretty damn entertaining scrap. Honestly, this is a fight that I wanted to see, I'd say about a year and a half, 2 years ago. It was before either had fought Glenn Johnson. Um, just seeing their styles, which are very similar, I thought it'd make for an explosive fight. And then Youssef Mack fought Glenn Johnson on ESPN2's Friday Night Fights, and he was doing well early on. It looked like maybe Father Time had finally caught up with the Road Warrior, but as usual, Glenn Johnson turned the fight around and ended up ultimately stopping Youssef Mack in that fight. So I figured, there goes any potential for a Cloud Mack fight. And then, of course, not too long afterwards, Tavoris Cloud would go on and fight Glenn Johnson and beat him pretty decisively as well. Well, unfortunately for Tavoris, he hasn't really been able to get in the mix with the top light heavyweights for one reason or another. Not because he doesn't want to, that's for damn sure, because he'd pretty much fight anyone out there, I think, if given the opportunity and the right, the right paycheck. Let's be honest, you're not going to fight for crumbs. But as for this fight, I think it's going to be a barn burner. I don't think it's going to go the distance, that's for damn sure. And I'm going to favor Tavoris. I like both these guys. I enjoy watching both of them fight, but Youssef Mack has 3 losses, and all 3 of those losses are by stoppage. He's a strong starter, but he usually fades about the 6th, 7th round on. And I think that will be the case here, although I don't know if he's going to make it that far. Not to discredit him, but Tavoris Cloud, he's got some serious power, and Mack doesn't have the most stout chin. Not to say his chin's weak, but if he's in there in a slugfest against Tavoris Cloud, I don't know how many of those bombs he'll be able to handle. Plus Tavoris, he throws a lot of combinations in there as well. He's not a guy that just throws one bombing punch at a time. But expect an exciting fight. Don't expect to go the distance. I'd be surprised if it goes past 8 rounds. And I'm looking for Tavoris Cloud to make a statement and get a stoppage somewhere under 8 rounds. Main event, got Devon Alexander taking on Matthysse. This fight, it's not that I don't think it's a good matchup. I do think it's a very good matchup. It's just stylistically, I don't know how it's going to play out. Alexander isn't always the most entertaining fighter to watch. And coming off his first loss against Timothy Bradley, he may have some doubts in his mind. He may fight a little more tentatively than usual, especially against a guy like Matthysse, who in his last fight against Zab Judah, though he lost, although that decision is debatable to some fans, he was, he lost a lot of early rounds to Zab Judah. But then, as usual, Zab kind of faded out, and Matthysse came on really strong late and was almost able to get the stoppage on Zab. He really had Zab just kind of surviving at the end of that fight. So Alexander may be thinking, along with the fact that he lost his last fight, that he's got to be make sure he has plenty of gas in the tank for all 12 rounds if it goes that distance. Plus, he's got a box. He can't just get in there and fight with Lucas Matthysse, because that's definitely going to favor Matthysse. I think that'd be a bad strategy for Alexander. Nor do I think he's going to do that. He's a guy that fights smart. He usually sticks to his game plan. The Bradley fight, it was a fight we all wanted to see, but unfortunately it didn't live up to expectations. It pretty much sucked. In the end, it was a bit lackluster, to put it lightly. A lot of people have questioned Devon Alexander and the way that fight ended. Questioned his heart. And if that's the case, I think Matthysse is a fighter that can really be a guy that can test his will and test his mental toughness in there. Because I think Matthysse can give him that kind of adversity, similar to what Timothy Bradley did. Although Alexander, that was a cut based on a headbutt. I hope that doesn't happen here, and I don't think it will, because headbutts and cuts just seem to happen a lot more often in Timothy Bradley's fights than most other fighters. But that's neither here nor there. As for this fight, I hope it's a competitive bout. I think it should be. But I favor Devon Alexander. I just think overall he's the better fighter. And I think he should be able to fight smart and safe and outbox Matthysse for the majority of the fight. I'm sure Matthysse will have his moments here and there, but unless he really catches or, goes to the body and is able to slow Devon down there and then make it where Devon really doesn't have any outs and he has to kind of just stand and trade, I think Alexander wins this fight. I don't want to say easily, but I think he'll win it convincingly on the scorecard. So I'll go with Devon Alexander win by unanimous decision. But you never can tell when a guy's coming off his first loss how he's going to respond. So we'll see how that plays out for Devon Alexander. Anyways, talked about this event as well as previous weekend's fights on yesterday's Science Fights radio show. So if you missed it, you can always go back and check that out on podcast or on demand. And one of your guys' thoughts on these fights. Wonder what you guys think about Devon Alexander. How the Bradley fight ended. If you think that he's vulnerable going into this fight against Matthysse, and if you favor Matthysse, why? And what do you think about that Tavoris Cloud Youssef Mack fight? Are you as excited for it as I am? If not, you should be. Anyways, check out Science Fights Radio Show, ScienceFights.com, and if you want, you can check me out on Twitter. I'll put links to all those sites in the information part of the video as usual. And until next time, guys,